Now for the sound of silence, which seems to be increasingly popular in BBC Radio. It reminds me of the 60s. You know, tune in, drop out. Here's an example from last Sunday on Radio 2.
Police believe a 15-year-old...
Hello, this is Edward Pugh from Cheshire. I was about to go to bed on Sunday night, listening to the 11 o'clock news on Radio 2. After 2 minutes, the news ended, and Susan Ray said...
BBC News.
And then... nothing for a whole minute. Just eerie silence. Now, I know George Entwistle is trying to be more creative in broadcasting, but was this a minute when people could do their own thing and whistle or something, or provide maybe their own news for a minute? I would love to know what went wrong.
So would we. By the way, that deafening silence in the background is still the break in Radio 2's transmission. Well, I suppose it gives us the opportunity to hear Radio 2's response to your question.
Unfortunately, we experienced a minor technical problem with an internal broadcast circuit on Sunday evening, which resulted in a short period of silence. These things happen very rarely, and the situation was rectified as quickly as possible.
Is a minute really such a short period of silence? Well, it is 20 times as long as this. And that was just 3 seconds. I hope you didn't switch off. What could one get up to in a minute? Whistle suggests our listener, pop out, put the kettle on, make a sandwich.
This September.
Here's Radio 2, back on again. Perhaps our longest break in transmission yet? Well, hold on. Anything Radio 2 can do, Radio 4 can do. Better?
He's the former leader of the Liberal Democrats. Maria Eagle is a keen cricketer and has played chess for England.
My name is Hugh Evans, and last Friday I noticed 2 breaks in transmission on the Any Questions programme from Stratford-on-Avon within the first 20 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have already lost Jonathan Dimbleby at Any Questions. I do apologise. We'll see if we can get back there in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Nick from Peterborough, and I felt so sorry for the poor announcer who had to introduce some programme trails to fill in the time.
Radio 4 told us that the problems were a result of a power failure at the venue. Well, I spoke to the man behind the mic that night, Steve Urquhart.
When it went off, it was a bit of a surprise, to say the least. Before the programme went on air, we'd been testing the line since about 7:15, no problems at all. And there were 2 lines as well, and they'd both been running smoothly. It's one of those unfortunate things that can happen.
But we're talking 6 minutes here. I mean, by the 4th minute, was the sweat pouring off?
The sweat wasn't pouring off, and I think you might remember, Roger, when you visited our studios, Corrie Caulfield let you into a little secret that we have some standby material in the studio. A little bit of what you heard me saying was actually pre-recorded. The reason for that is that it affords me the chance to be able to make contact with the outside broadcast team to re-establish the line. So I was calm, and hopefully it did sound quite smooth on air.
Weren't you a little bit thrilled when this happened? I mean, the only thing that stands between the audience and disaster is you. Didn't you really think, yes?
I didn't think yes at all. I thought, oh my goodness. And it can be odd to be thrust into the limelight like that. Thrilling isn't really the word, it's just part of the job, really.
Thanks, Steve. And I'm afraid Any Questions was not the only Radio 4 programme plagued with dropouts this week.
Business that I'm just walking into now that has just said to me that its takings have just increased, that they've actually had an increase in that they've got through to December. Here.
Oh, Mark, I think you better stop walking for the moment, Mark, because you're breaking up quite badly. Let's see if we can...
Hello, Martin Hoffman here from Coulsdon in Surrey. I spotted 2 dropouts at 6:35 on the Today programme on Wednesday morning. Is that a record?
The work should have started in December of...
Whoops, we've lost you again. I think we got the general drift.
I feel like despairing. We and you put all that effort into Operation Dropout, and then this. But today listener Les Hewitt wants to cheer us up. He doesn't think that breaks in transmissions are always a bad thing.
It's been to our advantage, actually, at the beginning of September, when at the Braemar Games there was a dropout that certainly was in listeners' favour.
Well, just play us out if you wouldn't mind. Thanks very much. Just a warm-up, here we go. Good morning.
Oh, God, I assure you that was not deliberate. For those of you who don't like the bad part, that was not sabotage, it was an accident.
I can see the switch in front of you, John.
Our thanks to all you loyal members of Operation Dropout, mistakenly demobbed. but now once more pressed into active service. Please keep listening.
Join me, Mark Radcliffe, alongside Julie Fowler, to say hi, Michael. For the BBC
I'd
Radio
like to nominate Nimrod from Edward Elgar's number 9 Enigma Variations.
On 88 to 91 FM.
I think that's enough of the evident pain that we're causing you, Bob Shennan, but how did it happen, and how did it go on for 15 minutes?
Yes, it's excruciating to hear it, and first of all, I should apologise to the listeners whose enjoyment of our Sunday evening schedule and our new programme was so hopelessly affected by that change. We have recently introduced a new system to the way we play out our schedule, an automated and quite complex schedule.
And you introduced it because it allows you to cut costs, because it means that you don't have to have as many presentation staff around.
Indeed, and the system itself is extremely robust. The problems that we've experienced and the problem that occurred last night were to do with human error.
But you see, it happened several times last year, including one instance when Elaine Page's programme disappeared off-air for around half an hour. This can't be a coincidence that the BBC is cutting back in a number of areas, and the number of problems like this seems to be increasing.
Well, I've got, since we launched Autoplayer, I think I've got a log of 4 individual cases, of which the Elaine Page show was one of them, and last night was another, and none of them are acceptable. All of them are different in terms of the cause. All of them are due to the way the system was operated by human beings rather than the system itself failing. But it was a very serious error. We take it extremely seriously. We know it affected a lot of people's enjoyment of Radio 2. They've told us so. I apologise for that. What I can reassure people about is that we've got to the root cause of the problem, and we'll ensure that there's appropriate training support so that we don't make the same mistakes again.